Across the vast expanse of Asia where ancient cultures intertwine and vibrant landscapes unfold, a darker reality casts its shadow upon millions. This is a story of oppression, where the iron fist of dictatorship crushes the human spirit. Join us as we journey into the heart of Asia's most brutal regimes to hear the harrowing tales of those who live under their rule. From the desolate streets of Pyongyang to the war-torn cities of Syria, we will witness firsthand the human cost of tyranny. Through the voices of defectors, activists, and ordinary citizens, we will uncover the chilling truth behind these closed societies. Prepare to be moved by their resilience, inspired by their courage, and outraged by their plight. This is a journey into the darkest corners of humanity where hope flickers like a candle in the wind. The Democratic People's Republic of Korea, a land shrouded in secrecy, ruled by a dynasty built on fear. This enigmatic nation, often referred to simply as North Korea, is one of the most isolated and secretive countries in the world. Its capital, Pyongyang, stands as a symbol of the regime's power, with its grand monuments and propaganda posters that glorify the ruling Kim family. For over 7 decades, the Kim family has maintained an iron grip on power, isolating its people from the outside world. The current leader, Kim Jong-un, follows in the footsteps of his father and grandfather, perpetuating a legacy of control and oppression. Military parades showcase the might of the regime, a stark reminder of the power wielded by the supreme leader. "We live in constant fear," whispers a defector, his voice trembling with emotion. These words echo the sentiments of many who have managed to escape the regime's clutches. Defectors often recount harrowing tales of life under the oppressive rule, where even the slightest misstep can lead to severe punishment. Fear of the state, fear of our neighbors, fear of even our own thoughts. In North Korea, trust is a rare commodity. Citizens are wary of each other, knowing that anyone could be an informant for the regime. Conversations are often held in hushed tones, away from prying ears, as people navigate the treacherous landscape of surveillance and suspicion. Every aspect of life in North Korea is controlled, from the clothes they wear to the information they consume. The regime dictates the narrative, ensuring that only state-approved messages are disseminated. Traditional dress is often worn during public events, a nod to the regime's emphasis on cultural heritage, while state newspapers are filled with propaganda that reinforces the regime's ideology. The eyes of the regime are everywhere, watching, listening, waiting for the slightest hint of dissent. Surveillance is pervasive, with cameras and informants ensuring that no one steps out of line. Soldiers patrol the streets, a constant reminder of the regime's omnipresence and the consequences of defiance. Those who dare to question the authority of the supreme leader risk imprisonment, torture, or even death. The regime's prisons and labor camps are notorious for their harsh conditions and brutal treatment of inmates. Arrests can happen without warning, and those taken away often disappear without a trace, leaving families to wonder about their fate. Families are torn apart, sent to labor camps for perceived disloyalty. The regime's punishment extends beyond the individual, often targeting entire families to instill fear and ensure compliance. Labor camps are surrounded by barbed wire, a grim reminder of the regime's reach and the lengths it will go to maintain control. Yet, even in this climate of fear, the human spirit endures. Despite the oppressive conditions, the people of North Korea find ways to persevere. Children play in the streets and communities come together to support one another, demonstrating resilience in the face of adversity. Defectors risk their lives to escape, carrying with them harrowing tales of survival. The journey to freedom is fraught with danger, as defectors must navigate treacherous terrain and evade capture. Those who make it across the border often find themselves in unfamiliar territory, relying on the kindness of strangers and aid organizations to start anew. Their stories offer a glimpse into a world hidden from view, a world where hope struggles to survive. Through their testimonies, we gain insight into the daily struggles and quiet acts of defiance that define life in North Korea. These stories remind us of the resilience of the human spirit and the enduring quest for freedom. Myanmar, once a beacon of hope for democracy in Southeast Asia, now finds itself in the clutches of military rule. The country, which had been making strides towards a more open and democratic society, has seen its progress brutally halted. The dreams of millions have been shattered overnight, leaving a nation in turmoil and uncertainty. The Tatmadaw, as the armed forces are known, seized power in a ruthless coup, shattering the dreams of a nation. The military's grip on power is tight, and their actions have been swift and merciless. Tanks rolled into the streets and soldiers took control of key locations, leaving the civilian government powerless. "Our lives are in danger every day," says a local activist, her voice filled with defiance. Despite the risks, she continues to speak out, embodying the spirit of resistance that has taken hold across the country. Her courage is a beacon of hope for many who feel voiceless and oppressed. "We are fighting for our freedom, for our future." The streets are filled with protesters, young and old, all united in their demand for democracy. They hold signs and chant slogans, their determination unwavering despite the dangers they face. Protests have erupted across the country, met with brutal force by the junta. The military's response has been violent and unrelenting, with clashes breaking out in cities and towns. Tear gas, rubber bullets, and live ammunition have been used to disperse crowds, resulting in numerous injuries and fatalities. Thousands have been arrested, tortured, and killed for daring to raise their voices. The jails are overflowing with political prisoners, many of whom face inhumane conditions and brutal treatment. Families are left in anguish, not knowing the fate of their loved ones. The internet has been shut down, access to information restricted, as the regime attempts to silence all dissent. In the darkness, people find ways to communicate secretly, using whatever means they can to stay connected and informed. The blackout is an attempt to isolate the population and prevent the spread of resistance. The international community watches in horror as the situation in Myanmar deteriorates. World leaders have condemned the coup and called for the restoration of democracy, but their words have yet to translate into effective action. The people of Myanmar feel abandoned, their cries for help echoing unanswered. Sanctions have been imposed, but the violence continues unabated. Economic measures have targeted the military's financial interests, but the junta remains defiant. The suffering of the people persists, with no end in sight to the bloodshed and repression. Amidst the chaos and bloodshed, the people of Myanmar refuse to be silenced. Their resilience is remarkable as they continue to gather in defiance of the military's threats. The spirit of resistance is alive, and the hope for a better future drives them forward. They continue to resist, risking their lives for a chance at a better future. The struggle is far from over, but the determination of the people of Myanmar is unwavering. Their fight for freedom and democracy is a testament to the human spirit's enduring strength and resilience. In the heart of Central Asia lies Turkmenistan, a land of vast deserts and shimmering marble cities. But beneath this veneer of prosperity lies a dark secret. Turkmenistan is ruled by an eccentric dictator with an unquenchable thirst for power. Gurbanguly Berdimuhamedow, the self-proclaimed Arkadag or protector, has created a cult of personality that permeates every aspect of Turkmen society. Giant golden statues of the president adorn the capital city of Ashgabat, a testament to his vanity and megalomania. "Freedom is a distant dream," says a resident, his voice barely a whisper. "We are trapped in a gilded cage. The media is tightly controlled, dissent is ruthlessly suppressed, and any criticism of the regime is met with swift and brutal retribution." Turkmenistan remains one of the most isolated and repressive countries on earth, a stark reminder of the dangers of unchecked power. Syria, once a cradle of civilization, now lies in ruins, ravaged by a brutal civil war. At the heart of this conflict stands Bashar al-Assad, a dictator who has clung to power at any cost. "We are trapped in a nightmare," says a refugee, his eyes filled with pain. "Our homes destroyed, our families torn apart. For over a decade, the Syrian people have endured unimaginable suffering. Barrel bombs rain down on civilian areas, chemical weapons have been used with impunity, and hospitals have been deliberately targeted. Millions have been displaced, forced to flee their homes in search of safety. The international community has been slow to respond, divided by political interests and a reluctance to intervene. As the conflict drags on, the humanitarian crisis deepens, leaving a generation of Syrians scarred by war. Afghanistan, a landlocked nation at the crossroads of Asia, has known little but conflict for decades. After years of war and instability, a glimmer of hope emerged with the fall of the Taliban in 2001. But the promise of a brighter future has faded, replaced by a resurgent Taliban and a government riddled with corruption. "Hope is fading," says a local teacher, her voice filled with sadness. "We are losing our country, our future." The Taliban, with their brutal interpretation of Islamic law, have imposed their will on vast swaths of the country, Women are once again denied basic rights, education is under attack, and fear stalks the land. The international community, weary of war, seems content to watch from the sidelines as Afghanistan descends once more into chaos. As we have seen, the human cost of dictatorship is immeasurable. The pain and suffering inflicted upon innocent lives are beyond comprehension, leaving scars that last generations. From the shattered lives in North Korea, where the regime's iron grip stifles any semblance of freedom and hope, to the desperate plight of Syrian refugees who have been forced to flee their homes, leaving behind everything they know and love, the stories we have heard are a stark reminder of the fragility of freedom. These narratives highlight the thin line between liberty and oppression, and how easily it can be crossed. Yet, even in the darkest of times, the human spirit endures. People come together, finding strength in unity and solidarity, holding on to the hope that one day their suffering will end. Across Asia, brave individuals and groups continue to fight for their rights, standing up against oppressive regimes and demanding justice, risking their lives for a chance at a better future. These activists, often working in the shadows, are the unsung heroes of our time. Their courage and determination lighting the way for others. Their courage is a testament to the indomitable spirit of humanity, a powerful reminder that even in the face of overwhelming odds, the desire for freedom and justice cannot be extinguished. A beacon of hope in a world too often shrouded in darkness. This hope is like a lighthouse in a storm, guiding those lost in the tumult towards a brighter future. It is our duty to bear witness to their struggle, to amplify their voices, and to ensure that their stories are heard around the world. By doing so, we help to keep their hope alive, and to demand accountability from those who would seek to silence them. We must stand in solidarity with these brave souls, using our own voices to call for justice and change. For in the words of the great Nelson Mandela, to be free is not merely to cast off one's chains, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of others. His words remind us that true freedom is not just about personal liberation, but about creating a world where everyone can live with dignity and respect, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of others. It is a call to action for all of us to work together to build communities where freedom and justice are not just ideals, but realities for everyone.